2008, and I'm getting ready for my second round of chemotherapy for a mess of tumors they found in my brain 6 months earlier, and I get a fucking fever. They won't treat me when I'm febrile, or febrile? And my oncologist tells me that considering my history, I need to go to the ER. So I go to Allegheny General, and they check me into the hospital and run a battery of tests, none of which give any indication of what's causing my fever. But they do discover that I am dangerously low on platelets. So they give me an infusion of platelets, and after a couple of days with no fever, they send me home. And I think, great, it's all good. I'm going to now get my next round of chemo. But that fever turned out to be just the beginning. Over the next 2 months, I'm in and out of AGH with increasingly high fevers for which nobody can find a cause. And every time I'm there, my blood counts get lower and lower and harder to bring back up. I have blood transfusions, I have platelet infusions, I have Neupogen shots, and those all work for a while until they don't anymore. And after a while, the doctors at AGH, they can't bring my blood counts up enough where they feel comfortable letting me go home. They won't discharge me, but they can't treat me. I'm in limbo, I'm stuck. So I transferred Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York City, where over the next few weeks, while they try and figure this shit out, I dropped down to 124 pounds, and I start hallucinating. I get so weak that I can't get out of bed on my own. I can't go to the bathroom on my own. Half the time I don't know where the hell I am, and I don't know what's going on. And there's this doctor who comes in every day, and his job apparently is to tell me what they've determined I don't have. So it's like, you don't have lupus, awesome. You don't have leukemia, woohoo. But nobody can figure out what it is that I do have. And I'm lying there wasting away. But this doctor, he turns out to be a third-year med student. He has an idea of what I might have. So in addition to my low blood counts, I also have an unusually high amount of ferritin, which is iron, in my blood. A normal range is between 12 and 300. Mine was 66,000. And he seems to remember a disease that he'd studied that had this as a symptom: hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis, also known as HLH, which is a disease in which your immune system essentially eats itself. A disease so rare that nobody else on the team had ever heard of it. But low blood counts and high ferritin aren't enough to diagnose HLH. And the treatment for HLH was so dangerous for somebody in my condition that they didn't want to treat me if they didn't know for sure that that's what I had. And to know that, they needed to find a macrophage. That's a white blood cell that normally consumes a pathogen eating a healthy blood cell. So they ordered some more blood tests and a bone marrow biopsy, and the blood test comes back positive. Woo, maybe I have this. But the biopsy comes back negative. So they go back and continue searching for another cause for my fevers. So while they're busy not finding anything else, I'm busy getting worse and worse and worse. Until a day in May, a resident on my rotation calls up my wife here in Pittsburgh and tells her on the phone he's not likely to make it through the night. He's dying. I was actually dying. Now, the oncologist on my case, Dr. Maria Leopolumba, knew that if she treated me for HLH and I didn't have HLH, the treatment would kill me. But she also knew that if she didn't treat me for something, and soon, I was going to die anyway, and quickly. So she goes back to the biopsy, and she's combing through my bone marrow cells looking for a macrophage that has a live cell in it. And I'm sitting there, and my time is running out, and I'm sitting there while she's searching, and the clock is ticking, and she's searching, and I'm dying, and she's searching, and I'm dying, and she's searching, and I'm dying, and at the last minute, in the middle of the night, she finds two cells that have live, healthy cells inside them. It's not much, but it's enough for her and it's enough for me. And she immediately starts the treatment. And the results are instantaneous. Overnight, my fever disappears. My blood cells start rising. And I start recovering. I was this close to death. Two cells away from dying. And at the last minute, seriously, the very last minute, Dr. Palumbo saved my life. And I looked up at her, and I said, "Are we good?"